Alright guys, we're back after a long break of no Kagurabachi, but this chapter is super Akemura heavy and super Soga clan heavy, so I'm not mad or disappointed. A lot of cool info in this chapter, so let's get into it. The chapter starts off with a very young Akemura, seems to be before Chiaki became the princess of the Soga clan, and Akemura is completely bawling his eyes out with Chiaki comforting him after he was being bullied by his older cousins. And as we can see, he has a bump on his head. And Chiaki says Akemura has a hard time with confrontation, and it's a sign of him having a kind soul or being too sweet. And she tells him she'll get them back for this, and she thinks to Akemura it's okay for him to be himself and to cry because his big sister will always be there to protect him. We then see the title of the chapter is Powerlessness with a beautiful drawing of Akemura holding a butterfly. I think this is interesting because it shows his interest in insects prior to any confrontation with the Mikoboshi, and there's a few possible implications of that. We then see a tree has been kicked in half, and then we learn that the younger brother of Hiroto, the former family head Giyu, kicked it down after seeing his brother's corpse. Giyu also resolves to become Hiroto's successor, and even though he was equal to Yoshinojo, the second strongest in the Soga clan, he was left out of the Hiroshima squad, but now he waits for his body to awaken Kurotsuchi. So it seems similar to the prophecy ability, or something like the Six Eyes, that it can only be wielded by one person at a time in the clan, and it will be passed down or something like that. But there's still a ton of speculation to how this could possibly work. And since now Giyu is the head of the Soga clan, his word held a lot of power, especially regarding Chiaki's surrender, and obviously he supports it. We then see Chiaki's mother begging someone to kill Giyu to stop Chiaki from surrendering herself, and we then see Giyu saying how he respects Chiaki for her sacrifice as Akemura stares him down. And the other sorcerers standing there guarding Giyu warn Akemura not to draw his sword, and Giyu then explains to Akemura that Chiaki decided for herself and he shouldn't weaken her resolve. The guards then warn Akemura again, but before any of them can react, he slices the pipe Giyu was smoking, and now facing him directly in this extremely cool panel, Akemura then exclaims how if Hiroto was still here, he'd find a way, and then Giyu says his way was to fight and die, and then says if Akemura has a problem, to go face the Mikoboshi and kill them. Then Chiaki bursts into the room yelling for Akemura, and drags him out the room. Then one of the Soga clan members remarks how Akemura is extremely talented for his age and believes one day he'll be on the level of Hiroto and the other stronger Soga clan members. And Akemura seems willing to devote everything to his sister, but they fear how far Akemura is willing to go for that goal. Akemura and Chiaki then begin arguing about Akemura wasting his time with Giyu and the other Soga clan members, and he's going to become a great swordsman one day, and he needs to accept her decision to protect everyone by sacrificing herself. This section of the chapter I think gives us a good insight to the psychology of Akemura and shows us how he isn't just a one-dimensional person. He was once someone capable of being timid and sensitive and possibly kind and caring, but now in the present is turned into one of the worst murderers in history. The chapter then switches us back to Subaru and Kunishige, as Subaru is explaining to Kunishige that his enchanted blade plan was just too risky for the government and it goes against their goal of not wanting the stone to wreak havoc. And on top of that, his lack of reputation and the severity of the situation, and even with that being an outcome, the alternative to that, which Chiaki sacrificing herself, sucks as well. And Kunishige resolves to have them accept him and his proposal. We then cut to the Sorcery Bureau, where some higher ups are talking about the Dainseki they will gain from handing over Chiaki will be indispensable. And they need to at least do some of the portions of the Mikoboshi's demands for the deal to go through, and for the Dainseki to be transferred to their association and research to be completely halted. As the enchanted blade plan gets crossed out, on March 26, we see all Dainseki was stolen by an unknown individual. We then see Hasumi talking to Shiba, who's holding the stolen Dainseki, as he tells him he turned off the alarms, but it's only a matter of time before one of them gets caught. He then says he'll take responsibility and tells Shiba to go if he understands. And then we then see Shiba teleports away. We then learned Hasumi resigned 10 days later after being accused of being a mastermind behind the stolen Dainseki. We then see one last conversation between Subaru and Kunishige, and Subaru sort of basically reminds or asks and clarifies that Kunishige is really doing this to protect Chiaki at the end of the day, and that is his main priority. And we then see the fire is now lit ablaze for the forging to commence. I really like this chapter. I love seeing more of the Soga clan being explained, and I think it's going to become one of the more memorable and interesting clans that we will remember in like lines, sort of Uchiha clan or the Zenin clan or like the Gojo clan, for example, or like the type of clans you remember from animes. I think the Soga clan is kind of me leaving a really big impression that I'm probably going to remember them after this series. Seems like sorcery in Kagurabachi is sort of limited resource in a way, if that makes sense. Like, see, only one person can potentially wield Kurotsuchi in the Soga clan at one time, And while it's a strong sorcery, it's not anything I would say that is, well, from what we know is possible, it's nothing too impressive at this point in the series. And I believe someone like, I don't know, maybe Shiro from the last arc could probably give Hiroto a run for his money in a fight. I don't know, that might be a hot take, but really got to see a interesting dive into Akemura's personality, and I don't think anybody is surprised of him previously being a more timid individual and a more sensitive individual, somebody whose main instinct isn't to directly go to confrontation or to instinctively fight. I think kind of just leads into his drastic turn. I think that's when you get those drastic turns in personality to where he goes from somebody being not mentally prepared of confrontation to now he's within one move and without much deliberation he's willing to take the lives of 200,000 people. I think is a very stark contrast in character, and something definitely did happen that we are unaware about that caused Akemura to take this turn. And I do believe it's something relating to his sister. I do believe his sister is either dead, or I think that's the most likely option. She probably died during the war, or sometime during the end of it, but we're really just gonna have to wait and see. Definitely let me know what you guys think though.